Welcome to Universal God Messenger Peace. And this is our weekly Abrahamic dialogue. And this is part two of our discussion about uh, our religion's report card. How are we doing? I spoke last week, and this week we will, of course, I'm here with Dr. Khalid Zaheer and with Dr. Leah Tunser. And Dr. Zaheer is going to kick us off today with his thing. And don't forget, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to say that before you even hear a word. Go just pause, like and subscribe, and then come back. Okay, I give this to Dr. Khalid Zaheer.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I begin in the name of the God, whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. One of the many things I like about this arrangement is that even though I'm given a topic, nobody insists that I should actually speak on the topic necessarily. So I get the luxury, the privilege of talking anything that comes to my mind. Uh, Last week we had a very interesting and impressive presentation by Rabbi Lee Weissman on what I would say the religion's report card in the recent times. I would want to broaden the scope of this report card to religion in the history of humankind. Not that it's going to be a very informative or detailed analysis of what has happened in the past, but just to clarify that I'm trying to look at religion from that perspective. When I am talking about religion, I would include in religion all different possible religions that normally people uh, adhere to. Um, I divide religions into three categories. There are revealed religions. There are what I think some semi revealed religions, and there are religions that are man made. I am not making any derogatory statement about anyone, any of these belief systems. I'm just talking about reality. Um, the way God has chosen to arrange uh, the manner humans operate in this life, He's given considerable liberty to humans and has never forced people to accept a certain religious understanding, nor has it probably ever happened that any one religious narrative has been put across to the entire human population. Therefore, when I say that there are certain religions and religious beliefs which are not necessarily clearly revealed, it's not a negative statement. I think because religion is a human need, if a proper revealed religion is not available in the right, clear manner, a convincing way, then the need is still there. So people are going to come up with some understanding that they would get themselves attached to. Uh, there are many virtues of religion that humans have experienced, have come across uh, in their history. of living in this planet. I'll just talk about three more prominent amongst them. One is that religion has brought humans close to their creator through the rituals of worship, which honestly is a tremendous blessing. Um, Probably we might not be able to convince those people who have somehow chosen not to be religious, but it is probably one of the strongest needs of human beings, that they would want to be attached to their creator, to the one who is in complete control, who knows everything, who is there to help out, who listens to our prayers. So, no matter what the critics of religion might say, but the fact of the matter is that religion has had a large following all throughout human journey, is is not accidental. It's not surprising. It's understandable. As humans, we need to get attached to, we need to have communication with our creator. And religion has provided humans uh, with the opportunity, with the manner that could be actualized, that could be realized. Uh, so I think that's the greatest achievement of religion all throughout human history, that men and women in their lives, their journey of life, were able to be attached to the understanding of a creator, which was something they felt. There was this inner confidence feeling that they are attached to their creator. If the versions and the ways were different, well, it should not be surprising, because, as I said, the Almighty chose it to let people do what they found uh, more convincing, given their environment, given their limitations. The other big uh, plus advantage that humans have been able to derive out of religion, whatever form it might have taken, is that religion has brought purpose to human life. I mean, human life that is otherwise chaotic, confusing. I mean, we come to this world and we look at what is on offer. Oh, fine, it's life is amazing. Life has a lot to offer. It has a lot of potential. Uh, a vast majority of humans have always loved this life and would have never wanted to part with it. But the fact of the matter is that it's puzzling, it's confusing, it's problematic. It creates lots of difficulties, tensions. Uh, and it goes to the credit of religion that many religious people have, you know, they swim through the flow of the times of their journey of life in a way that, despite difficulties, despite problems, they feel by and large kind of okay. Uh, they are able to come to terms with tragedies, with uh, serious uh, experiences of cruelty, injustices. Uh, Religion is the anchor that enables the individual to still stand firmly on. It's amazing. Uh, Probably one reason obviously is that the understanding of of a creator, of a God who knows all what's going on, helps. And the other very important helping understanding provided by religion is the understanding of another life. So, I mean, to have this strong feeling that no matter how, however, life goes wrong in one's experience, uh, howsoever sad, depressing it might be, uh, there is another life to look forward to. So, that provides the individual with a reason to to feel good, strong, and to have a purpose or direction in an otherwise uh, life that seems to be chaotic, puzzling, problematic, and in many cases, very depressing. So, religious people would quite often not be as strongly inclined to committing suicide, for example, as somebody who has no religion to attach oneself to. Um, and this is because I mean, if you don't have any purpose in life beyond the immediate uh, objectives of finding success in life, um, you you will find it very difficult to continue living, particularly when the going is tough and challenges are too big for the individual to face. So I think that too is a great blessing advantage of religion. The third uh, merit of religion that has in many cases been experienced is that religious people have, not all of them, I'm not too sure whether majority of them, but a great number of religious people have been able to display remarkable feats of display of moral uprightness. Um, you know, because of the great potential that religion has to offer, uh, even on occasions when a human would ordinarily give up being moral, uh, true religiosity enables an individual to be able to be morally upright. Uh, and this is what all throughout human history it has been witnessed um, that religious people, because they know that morality is a part of their creator's package that has been given to them to value, to take seriously. Therefore, we have seen that morality has been upheld by many religious people. Uh, but on the flip side, uh, we obviously have many disadvantages, many minuses, which religion, generally speaking, has shown displayed. Uh, my mentor's mentor, who was my direct mentor as well for a while, uh, Maulana Amin Hassan Islahi, once said that if I was given to live in a truly religious society, religious state, it would be a pleasure. There's nothing better to look forward to. But if I was to live in a so-called religious society which was run by people who uh, have a mistaken understanding of religion and their behavior and attitude is narrow, it's it's filled with bigotry, etc. I would rather live in a secular society because to live among such religious people is a great curse. Uh, that is sadly true, despite the tremendous blessings that religion promises to offer. When it is not properly understood and not properly adopted, then it turns out to be a big curse. So let me mention a few negative aspects of religion that humans have quite often witnessed, and we are still having the same experience. Uh, One big problem which religion has brought is the problem of hatred. I mean, hatred is most certainly one of the biggest evils uh, amongst humans. And the part of, you know, share that a religion and religious people have taken of hatred is much bigger. Uh, I'm reminded of a story of a lady who mentioned to me who was not particularly impressed by religion. She said that one of the reasons why she is drawn away from taking religion seriously is that she mentioned that she was working in an office where there were many employees, but one of them was a pious, uh, God-fearing uh, Muslim security guard who was regarded by all employees of the office uh, to be the most uh, respectable. Uh, the vast majority of the people, while talking about Pakistan, are Muslims. So she mentioned that there was one of the employees who was not very well off. Uh, he had some medical problem for which he needed to go through surgery, which was pretty expensive. And this pious, God fearing security guard, he went to each and every employee and collected funds for financing the surgery. And through his efforts, the amount that was needed for the purpose was collected. When he came to learn about the fact that the employee that he had worked hard to help out was a non-Muslim. And this pious, God-fearing security guard, he very diligently returned the entire amount to each of the people who contributed, very honestly. My goodness. I mean, he would not help out a non-Muslim. So, I mean, imagine that the same religious sentiment that caused him to undertake so much of effort to help out a fellow human, when it turned out that the fellow human did not belong to his religious understanding, uh, just dropped the idea. So religious hatred, you know, that is, you do not belong to the uh, religious understanding faith of some people, you're very likely to be not liked, uh, and most certainly, in most cases, you like to be hated. Uh, Another aspect of the negativity that is associated with the religion is, and obviously, it has to do with the incorrect understanding and incorrect practice of religion is arrogance. Uh, you know, Others are looked down upon by religious people. Um, Quite often, uh, religious people have an understanding that They are the best, they are the chosen, they are the ones who are going to succeed in the next life. They are the ones on whom the Creator is showering His mercy, and all others are doomed. Uh, this is what I see as a religious disease, and it's all across. Some faiths, and within all faiths, some people are doing better. But to be honest, it's a problem that divides humanity, problem of bigotry. It stems from religious arrogance, a false sense of superiority, which has caused humans to be divided. And it is a big problem with religion. Uh, Probably linked with these two problems uh, is the third problem, which is that we have seen in human history wars in the name of religion. When I say wars, I mean something, an activity that is designed to kill people, humans, in large numbers. That's what the purpose is, to defeat the other group by killing many of them. And there have been wars after wars that have been fought in the name of religion. Muslims, Jews, Christians, and now we find Hindus and even Buddhists. Uh, you know, whatever they are doing, uh, many people find it uh, very effective to have a strong religious sentiment to cause people to hate the other side and to create in them this sentiment of uh, of you know hatred that would enable them to fight as as a very strong, bold individual. And obviously, there are references to the divine texts which are invoked, and the end result is the colossal loss of lives that have happened, and it's still happening. I mean, only today I heard a 1 minute clip of an Indian soldier, and my goodness, he was. I mean, imagine he was talking to a journalist and telling her that in one of the wars that I fought against Pakistan, there was a soldier uh, who somehow stumbled, and I was able to get hold of him, and I started beating him up with my rifle. And he had no clue, so he was taken by surprise, off guard. And the more I would beat him up, the more he would say, Pakistan Zindabad, glory to Pakistan, may Pakistan live forever. And he said that to the extent that he died. And at the very last moment of his life, this is what he was saying. And this soldier was talking about him, he was praising him very highly of him. He said, when the dead body was sent back to Pakistan, I saluted him for his bravery. He said, well, he was doing the same thing as I was doing. And my goodness, it was all being said in such a calm way, as if there was a sportsman who was talking about another sports person and his skill and his ability, and he was praising him. And this is what This is what wars do. And when you're talking about a war between Pakistan and India, I mean, be sure that there's a lot of religious sentiment in it. So there is another very unfortunate aspect that has caused a religion's image to be tarnished, to, to not be the way it should be in the eyes of many other people. Uh, then there are other problems, which lesser problems, I would say, that have been created by religion for some people in their lives. I mean, I'm talking about uh, Muslims. There are people, large number of people who live their lives. Imagine live their lives without music because because it's haram. I mean, how can you live without music? But that's because of religious understanding. I mean, you can't make any pictures of any living beings. So no art, um, no socializing. You know, there are many people who don't socialize at all, particularly women, because of the religious understanding that people have, that women are just not allowed to be in the company of men at all. So imagine women have lived their lives uh, like that. And there are lots of lots of other problems which people get into because of their religious understanding, and because religion is such an effective, potent narrative that you can't get away with it. Some people do it willingly. Well, I have no problem if somebody is doing it willingly, but in many cases, it really is something that is forced upon you because there are others who feel very strongly about it. And then there are many points, but last but not least, is in many cases in the history of mankind, uh, lack of progress because of religion. I mean, we know the history of the medieval church, that it impeded the way of scientific progress, simply because religious people thought that most of the stuff that scientists and philosophers had to offer went against their religious beliefs. I mean, very often we find in our tradition uh, people, objecting to many of the uh, modern facilities that are available simply on uh, religious grounds. A person, uh, I, I, I'm told that, for example, no disrespect to anyone, but for instance, amongst Jehovah Witnesses, it is said that you can't have the blood of anyone else. Uh, you know, so people die, but they don't get it. And the reason, obviously, the reason is religion. The reason is that somehow they have been able to come to this conclusion that um, their God does not want them to have this facility to save their lives. So I can go on and on and on, but I'll just end by saying that all this has happened, I think, because of lack of proper communication. Some people might say lack of proper understanding. I think that has to do with proper communication. If we were humans who would continue to talk to each other with our minds open, we can still commit mistakes in understanding and in practice. But it's very unlikely that we are going to continue to be rigid, inflexible in matters which are more important in life. And I would end with a statement that I quite often used to attribute to Bertrand Russell, but only today I learned, and maybe I'm still not right. There's somebody called Steven Weinberg who said that All societies have good and bad, yet bad people. Good people do good things and bad people do bad things. But it goes to the credit of religion and religion alone that it somehow causes some good people to do bad things, which obviously is correct and is unfortunate. That's all from me.
Oh, wow. That was
Wow.
amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Zaheer. That was a great talk and brilliant summary of all the good and bad points of religion. And thank you so much. Do you have any questions for Dr. Zaheer, Rabbi Weissman?
Um, I, I don't know if it's questions so much as appreciations. Um, I I love what you just did in the very beginning. You actually did talk about the topic, but what you did is you pulled out a little bit to give it for a bigger picture, which actually is very helpful. Um, because you touched on something I think it's very important. Human beings really need meaning. Meaning is it's and as you rightly said, I mean there is there is no place in the world where that vacuum is not filled somehow. We have a desire to be able to relate to things which are beyond us, to try to understand the world that we live in, to try to for the difficulties of the world to be meaningful and for the joys of the world to be meaningful, not just as fleeting things, but to have a greater meaning. And and religion does a great job of that. And it's it's very clear. I think it's the book. I think it's Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, where he talks about his experience during the Holocaust, and talks about how important it was for him to have that having meaning in his life, was able to keep him, and Elie Wiesel writes about it. Very many people write about it. That in times of real difficulty and tragedy, which unfortunately is a big part of life. We can't claim that it isn't. It is. It's a big part of life. Life is difficult. Um, to have meaning is really important. And those inner promptings that we have to try to understand the big picture and to kind of understand our place in the world. And the word you use a lot is puzzle. And I think it's a great word, to understand the puzzle and how everything fits together is really, really important. And religion has done a great job in that respect of kind of pulling us up out of the world and to be able to see how things fit together and to engage that part of us, which is like really, it's a very intense part of being a human being. Every human being has it. Um, and as you were talking, and you were talking about some of the downsides, I was I was thinking about Dr. Tunster's computer. I was thinking about Dr. Tunster's computer, and a lot of times. Um, Big problems are caused by relatively minor settings. I think that we have two major settings problems in religion. So one
Mm,
is um, is a kind of a bandwidth problem, and that is we have very good values. We have very good values, but we turn the volume down instead of turning the volume up, right? We make a circle about this big in which we're going to express those values, when really what we should do is we should be setting for this big, right? We make the screen too small. So if we just make the screen bigger, okay, we'll be in better shape. And you won't end up with the employee who says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give money to that he didn't do it." And what I loved about that story, I'm going to totally steal that story, by the way, is that he's very careful, right, to give the money back to each person, right? He's continuing to be very pious, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to take money from anybody. He's going to make sure
Right.
to give the money back, right? And and I totally understand where he's coming from. I do understand where he's coming from. He's just drawn the circle this big. So if we just change the setting a little bit, I think that we can, that's fixable. That's fixable, but we have to just find the setting. I think that's a difficulty. And the other setting, and um, a more difficult one, is relates particularly to the value of human life. Um, where we have a kind of hierarchy of values, and um, you know it's like when you're I'm feeling I'm on IT mode today. Okay, I'm on like IT mode. Okay. It's like when you have a set of processes, right? And it happens sometimes your computer doesn't work because something came on out of order, right? And it interrupted the function of something else. And I think what happens is when when other things come before the value of human life, um, it it
Mm.
it makes it cheap, right? It makes it cheap. And so you end up with a situation where here you have a person. I mean, I love the person about the soldier. You have the soldier as a person of discipline, right? A person of discipline, a person who has principles, right? May have principles. They they respect bravery. They respect all sorts of. They respect bravery. They respect patriotism. They respect all these things. And somehow or another, right? Somehow or another, the the I'm going to use the word sacredness, if you don't mind. The sanctity, right? The sanctity of human life got put down here on the list when really it needs to be up here. So if we could just tweak that, right, and make that really kind of at the top of the list,
Mm.
um, I think that would change a lot of things. And that listing thing is also, I think, um, the question of priorities, is really important. I remember reading some years ago the biography of Mr. Edie, um, from Pakistan, Edie Saab, a man who I never got a chance to meet. Somebody went to him and gave him my salams on his deathbed, actually. But at least that. But I really wanted to meet him very much. And if people don't know who this is, Abdul Sadr Aidi is an amazing person, a remarkable person. And and at one point in his biography, his autobiography, he talks about music and these things, and he doesn't criticize the religious authorities. What he says is their priorities are kind of messed up, right? I mean, they're so worried about forbidding this and forbidding for this and forbidding this, and meanwhile, the streets are filled with people who are dying, right? They never bothered to create an ambulance corps, right? I mean, how is it possible how is it possible that you can, you know, that you spend your time worrying about whether people are listening to Qawwali music, right? Because it's haram, right? And you're not worried about whether or not, whether or not there are people dying on the street, whether people who are sick can get treatment, whether babies, there's a big problem with people who don't want female children because of whatever reason. And, you know, how come I'm not taking care of that, right? I mean, that's a lot more forbidden than listening to music. But the priorities are off. And so I think that really. In a lot of ways, it's a question of priority. Not that these things, if you don't want to listen to music, don't listen to music. I have no problem with that. That's fine. Don't listen to music.
Mm.
The question of force, I think, is also, I mean, that that maybe that's a good topic. That's
Mm.
that's a very maybe that's a very good topic because the question of compulsion and force, you know, is religious communities always use compulsion. There's no question. And whether it's social pressure, whether it's, there's lots of ways in which religious communities um, enforce compulsory behavior. And of course, we do it with our children and whatever else. We don't give them the choice, right? We say, this is how you do it. And uh, but I think in our world as it is today, we have to really think carefully about how we deal with people's individual choices. People do have so much more access to information and so forth, that we have to kind of rethink, how we present, what we make compulsory. Are the things that we think are compulsory are really compulsory, and to allow people room. So in any case, my mind is running off, and but thank you so much for a great presentation. I didn't ask you any questions, but I was just my mind's
I think
running.
it's a great topic that he has suggested for our discussion. Maybe the next one, you know,
Yay!
use of force in religion. It
Yeah.
really is very important topic. But
Definitely.
thank you very much for your comments. I mean, they're very enlightening, honestly. I mean, both the bigger picture and the priorities of values. And, we've talked about Abdul Sattar Idi, and he was an amazing person. But what you have mentioned about him uh, makes me feel about him even more. He's really, it's a very important point, amazing point that he raised. So thank you very much for your comments. Over to Dr. Lale.
You've both covered so many amazing points. So just to go through them, I've made a few notes, mentioned about hatred and arrogance, wars in the name of religion, ignorance about religious teachings, which lead to forbidding things that are not actually forbidden within a certain religion, and that can cause problems. Last week we mentioned about hypocrisy, and you mentioned about oppression of women. We talked about compulsion and lack of progress, which I think is a huge thing as well. For example, in science, and there's a very passive approach to medicine and things like that, and many of people of religious groups. I agree that religion has a very powerful. It's a very powerful force. It offers people hope, offers people a sense of higher purpose, something that science can't really do very well. Science explains how things happen, whereas religion offers an understanding of why we're here, what our purpose is. So it's been really amazing. And to summarize, I mean, I would say that, I think a lot of the problems that we've talked about either come from arrogance or ignorance. And, if more of us really were truth seekers within our religions, our religious groups, and if we really genuinely, sincerely sought higher truth and accepted that there is a higher truth beyond our own understanding always, and sought to have this direct connection with our creator, because I think that's another place where religion can go wrong, is when we put intermediaries between ourselves and our creator, and that can come from perhaps we don't think we're worthy enough, we don't think that God would be interested in us, to have a personal relationship with us, but actually I believe that this is what God wants, to have a personal relationship with everybody and to talk to him like an intimate friend. And his guidance is the best guidance. You know, we have from all directions, people tell us this is right, this is wrong, this is right. How do we know which one is the truth? And I think it's important to try and learn from everybody in every interaction, but at the same time to hold on to our Creator. Hatred, so obviously love. The more love we have, the better things would be. Love for God, love for justice, love for peace, love for humanity and all creation. To do justice, so to treat others how we want to be treated, and really offer people the same respect in the way that we treat them as we would want to be shown, and the same kindness. So I think the more we can listen to others and put ourselves in their shoes, the better it would be. And to always try to make peace. I think we didn't mention about gossip and slander, but you know, there's so much division that's caused amongst religious groups because of gossip and slander and spreading of falsehood and lies. You know, let's try to be peacemakers, and I think we need to take responsibility for our intentions, our thoughts, our speech, our behavior. And the more we can try to purify all those, and that the better it would be. And what is religion? You know, religion has a bad name, but actually, what is religion? You know, it's a set of rules. And as you mentioned when you first started, you talked about man-made religion or revealed religion from our Creator. And I think that's a really important thing we should ask ourselves. We all follow a religion, I think, whether we know it or not. We all, you know, have what we believe to be a set of principles or values. But I think within us, within all of us, there's that innate set of values and principles that is there, that actually connects all humanity. And the more we try to connect with that innate nature, I think the more we will see our oneness within our diversity, which will hopefully bring us together. I think Satan tries to, my belief is that obviously Satan tries to divide humanity and divide us and weaken us. The more divided we are, the more weaker we are. And we think that, you know, we have an enemy amongst the human beings, but actually, I think our true enemy is within ourselves. And if we all, you know, came together against Satan, I think that would be much better. But it's tragic, I think. I do believe it's tragic because people unfortunately lose faith, and faith is the healer. Whether you say you follow a religion or not, you know, I think faith is a massive healer. Faith in God, faith in a creator, faith in our own potential as a human being, to believe that there is always a way out and not to give up. So I do think it's tragic that, you know, there is all this hypocrisy and all these wars happening in the name of religion. And what you said, Rabbi Weissman, about priorities, such a powerful point. The sanctity of life. You know, why are we arguing about the details of this and that? This is another place where we go wrong, is we build a fence around the big things, but we get lost within the details, and we end up, you know, sinning or making the biggest mistakes. and get distracted from what religion is there to do, really. So thank you both so much, and sorry if I'm babbling on. And I loved how you brought in the issue of my computer. I'm going to reflect on that, and I'll try and fix the computer by next week, so won't have to use my phone. I'll look at the settings and have a good look at the settings. So thank you both. God bless you. Peace be with you. Thank you everybody for watching, and inshallah see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.